So I actually have a superpower. I don't know if you know about it. See, I can see everything in this room, including that Christmas tree, my face, everything. But I can also see outside. What about you guys? Now, you don't have this superpower. You can probably only see me or outside. But you can't see both. That really sucks for you. Now I'm shooting on Sony's standard color profile right now, so this effect is particularly pronounced. So if I switch this from a standard picture profile to log, I'm gonna be able to get a little bit of both a little bit better. Watch it. In log, you can get my face and you can get the outdoors. It's incredible. This is because you have a couple extra steps of dynamic range in both directions. Why that is complex, but we're gonna get into it right now. Should you film in log? When I got started with YouTube, that's all I wanted to know. And so I got up on YouTube, I checked out all these creators trying to explain to me what log actually is, and like, oh, it gives you all this extra dynamic range and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what does that mean and how does it do that? They never really explained. I don't think most of the creators know. I did a real deep dive on it. I'm hoping to keep it as simple as I can. I'm also going to try to keep it short. We'll see how I do. Part 1. Computers need to store all of this beautiful information of this video somewhere, and they store it as bits. Everything is either a 0 or a 1. Now pretend we devised a system where 0 equals black, 1 equals white, and then we take more of these boxes and we place them all over our screen to represent black and white. We could create an image on a TV screen with just with that system. It would be a terrible image. It wouldn't make any sense. But we could create a truly black and white television with that. We need more colors. If we had more values to work with, we could represent more colors. So this is where camera makers start throwing the words 8-bit color, 10-bit color, a million-bit color. This is basically how many colors you have at your disposal. So 2 to the power of the number of bits you have. That's how many colors you have at your disposal. Sony a7S III, and it has 10-bit color. That's what I'm filming on right now. It's 1024 colors per channel. So each pixel is represented by a red, green, and blue channel. When you combine these channels together, you can make pretty much any color with some limitations. But basically, you multiply those together, and it gives you about a little over 1 billion possible colors per pixel. There's 2 more concepts that you have to understand. The first concept, objects don't really have color. I know what you're saying, everything has color, but not really. Light has color. And all objects do is reflect light. If there's no light, it won't have color. We can all agree that a green screen is green, right? But it's not green. It's only green depending on how much light you're shining on it. If you shine no light on it, it's black. If you shine tons of light on it, it's white. And if you shine somewhere in between, it'll be a shade of green or a tint of green depending on how much light you're shading on it. And then if you change the color of the light, the green screen will change color to an entirely different color. All right. Second thing you have to understand to make sense of what log is, you have to understand that human vision and computer vision are very different. So we, as people with 2 thumbs, were kind of evolved to live during the day and hunt things and eat them. And so our eyeballs are really good at seeing things kind of at that brightness level. There's when things get really dark or when things get really bright, our eyeballs, they kind of fall apart. They're not very good. Computers don't work that way at all. So a computer can technically measure brightness from 0 to infinity. So there are a ton of values in between 0 and infinity. Now, infinite brightness would melt your camera, so your camera in the real world is never going to have to deal with that. But we're using 10 bits to represent this information. We've only got about 1 billion possible values, so, you know, we have an infinite brightness spectrum, and your camera can only store 1 billion values of infinity, which is not very big. Actually, if it's infinity, it would be like this. Now, hopefully, you're starting to see where the problem was. So earlier, when I was filming indoors against my window, what was going on is inside, it's shadowy. So we're at the shadowy side of the spectrum. Whereas outside, it's very bright. So we're at the bright side of the spectrum. Your computer only has so much information it can work with. And if it's doing it linearly, it has to cut out one side of the spectrum. With a log color profile, you're still working with your billion values, but you're handling it differently to take advantage of human vision. We're not very sensitive to changes in brightness on the shadowy end of the spectrum or on the super bright side of the spectrum. It's all just kind of blown out or dark for us. What a log profile is doing is it's saying, hey, a human being can't tell the difference between this color and this color. Let's delete this color and move everything over. And that allows more colors from over here to get in. Basically, think of it as compression, where both sides are coming in toward the center. The very bright gets to come in by a couple stops, and the very shadowy gets to come in by a couple stops, because we're just deleting colors that we can't tell the difference about anyway. This is why when you're checking out your log footage that's not graded, everything looks very milky. You have to color grade, which is all color grading is doing is decompressing it and pushing things back out toward the edges. And that's when things start to come back to life. Should you film in log? The answer is, yeah, you absolutely should. You get a couple extra stops of dynamic range, and it doesn't cost you anything except that you've got a color grade in post. Now, this may be reason enough to not film in log. Like, if you're not shooting very high contrasty scenes, and you're doing, you know, maybe you don't need those steps of dynamic range, and a color profile is simpler. Okay, fine. Don't do log. It's not gonna, you know, if you're in a, if all the color values fit, you're not really gaining much by getting more space. You know, maybe you gain a little bit, but it's not gonna like make your footage look excellent when it was crappy before. However, if you are filming very contrasty scenes, filming in log could save an entire shot. Like, if you blow out like a window that you happen to walk by, that's unrecoverable. Once you get outside of your limits of information, it's just always going to be white. You can't pull it back. And so, you know, shooting in log for like a professional filmmaker when you don't know how your scene's going to truly unravel could be absolute lifesaver. Okay, color grading your footage. It sounds really complicated, and it is kind of its own art form. I wouldn't get too intimidated, though. Go back to what I was saying before. You're just compressing your footage, and all you're doing when you're color grading is uncompressing. You're moving everything from out from the center back toward the edges. Not that it's not a super complex thing, because it can be. You know, it's an art, but you can get your colors pretty good, kind of give it the look you want without being an artist. And the way you do that is with a LUT. A LUT, you dirty LUT. Where do you get a LUT? Where do LUTs come from? You can't just go down to the LUT store, pick yourself up some LUTs. Actually, you can go to the LUT store. So your camera manufacturer, whoever created your version of log, so if you're shooting on Sony or Canon or Fuji or whatever, they probably have their own version of log. And if you go to the manufacturer's website of your camera, there's going to be a LUT there that you can use. It's going to work reasonably well. Weirdly, I sometimes find that third-party LUTs give me looks that I like a lot better than the ones that the camera manufacturer gave. However, the one that the camera manufacturer gave is going to be free, and it's going to work reasonably well. It's going to be a good starting point for you to have normal-looking footage so it's not all milky, allowing you to take advantage of filming in log, because there's no downside to filming in log. Your bitrate remains the same. You just gain dynamic range for just a tiny bit of effort on the color grade at the end. That's it. That's all that's going on. Now this is the tricky part, how to apply your LUT. If you're using Final Cut or Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or anything like that with color correction tools, you're going to be fine. This is going to be a fairly easy process. I'm going to go through it with Final Cut right now, try to help you out. Okay, so just go into the Effects tab, find the Color section, grab the Custom LUT effect, Custom LUT, nice. Drag it onto your footage, go up to your menu, your effects menu, upper right corner. There's going to be a drop down with an option to choose a custom LUT. All you got to do is select it, import it, use it. You're done. If you want to take it a little farther in Final Cut, this is what you do. You're going to go to the window menu. You're going to tap on Workspaces, Color and Effects, and you should see a window kind of like this pop up. All right, now go back to your color wheel in your menu. We're going to edit it right now. There are 3 sections I want you to take a look at. The highlights, shadows, and midtones. First, you're going to up your highlights until you start to approach 100. You don't want to go over 100. You're probably going to want to keep it in like the 90-ish range because everything over 100 turns pure white. And you can do this kind of to your own taste. This is an art, not a science, but this is just going to help you give you a more punchy look to your footage. Now you're going to go to your shadows. You're going to bring those down a little bit. Again, it's the same deal as with the highlights. You want to get them lower because it's going to give you a sharper look, but you don't want to go so low that you've hit 0, that you've hit pure black. At that point, it's clipping in the other direction and you're losing details in the shadows. And then you're going to play around with the midtones up or down. Usually I end up having to go up depending on how bright my scene is. And that's really it. Should you pay for LUTs? People everywhere are making LUTs. If you go like hang out with Potato Jet or whatever, I don't. He's never invited me anywhere, but he sells his own LUT. Everybody sells their own LUT. Peter McKinnon sells a LUT. Every website on earth sells a LUT. I'm probably going to sell a LUT one day. Now you can make LUTs yourself. I don't know how yet. I intend to learn and do a video coming in like a year and a half. But I have found that like people's LUTs can give you very cool looks. Sometimes it is easier to just pay for them if you're made of money than it is to learn. That's my advice now. Come back in a year and a half. I'll put a LUT creation tutorial making LUTs in my videos. That's it. That's it for log footage. That's everything. You did it. You made it. You graduated. You're a champion. You know, now that you're a master color corrector, you're going to be able to impress all your friends at parties. They're going to hand you beers and ladies. It's going to be great. So, you know, as a reward, the best you could do is probably hit the like button, or you could subscribe, or you could click on my other videos, or like probably in the description I got ways you can give me money. Just give me all your money. Or if you're poor, hit the like button. You know, because I know everybody out there is like, well, I'm not rich, but I would help you out if I could. It's like, just hit the like button. It's free. It's free. And that's about it. Check out my other videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Blah, blah, blah. Shoney's pictures will not. Okay, let's think about this, Sean. I have to poop. Each section of the screen, so I'm realizing this is not as easy to explain to the camera as I thought it would be.